From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Diane Parker. Miller has the weekend forecast, plus a closer look at voting delays here in Montana's election. And breaking this noon, the Associated Press called the race in Montana's newest Western Congressional District for Republican Ryan Zinke, who beat out Democrat challenger Monica Tranel by about 8,000 votes. The announcement comes after Zinke declared victory overnight. Montana will now send 2 Republicans to the U.S. House. Zinke says truth matters, and now it's time to fight for freedom and protect our way of life in Montana.
As a representative, quite frankly, you represent those that voted for you, and thank you for those that did. But you also represent the people that didn't vote for you and the people that will never vote for you. So as part of a representative is to listen and navigate issues that are in the best interest of Montana. And it's going to be a difficult task because our country's kind of fallen apart in chunks. But I'm confident it's within our measure and merit to fix it and provide leadership.
Thank you for joining me in this journey. We will continue to walk together. We will continue to build this movement of the people, a movement that includes everyone, regardless of our differences, of our color, of our faith, of who we love, and how we live in this world. You represent the Montana I know, the Montana that is big enough and big-hearted enough to share.
Election results statewide were delayed, and now we're learning more about a delay in Yellowstone County that pushed results past 1 a.m. Missoula County caught an error forcing them to recount some ballots, and Cascade County dealt with record midterm ballots. In Yellowstone County, the new interim elections administrator was a former volunteer who admits he works at a slower pace.
I'm not as efficient as a lot of the other counties at being speedy with getting tabulations out to the press and to the public. However, I'd rather do it right.
Yellowstone County says the bad weather and icy roads also played a role. An elections vehicle was involved in a crash while delivering ballots to Huntley and Shepherd. Voters gave Montana Republicans a supermajority in the legislature. Now the party can send initiatives and constitutional amendments to the ballot without a single vote from Democrats. MTN's Charlie Kleps finds out what it means for both sides of the aisle.
Snow continued to fall in Billings Wednesday, but that couldn't keep Mike Yakowicz from picking up his signs around town.
I've met a lot of the people running for office, and they're amazing people, hardworking, dedicated. I believe we're in good hands.
Yakowicz is one of the many Republicans around the state celebrating big wins. And it appears Republicans have a lock on a supermajority in the legislature, which means 100 of the 150 seats between the state Senate and state House will be affiliated with the party.
I hope that we can find common ground, that we can work together for the best interests of the state of Montana.
Republicans didn't win every race, though. 18-year-old Elijah Tidswell was looking to make history in State Senate District 24.
Even though it didn't end up going my way, I'm so appreciative of the people that showed their support.
As one of the state's youngest and up-and-coming Republicans, Tidswell is moving on and looking ahead.
It is a 50-50 country, and we're seeing that in elections. It's a little bit scary, because I think that just means we're moving further and further apart.
On the national scale, the red wave that many talked about didn't necessarily come to fruition, and there were some wins for Democrats in the Montana legislature. Emma Kerr Carpenter won her state house race in District 49. And as a Democrat now elected in the middle of Republican supermajority, she will certainly be concerned about what's happening here, vowing to find ways to bridge the growing political divide.
I've never been in the majority, and so it's always about building relationships with folks in my caucus and also across the aisle.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Missoula voters elected the first transgender and non-binary candidates to the Montana legislature. House District 95 will be represented by non-binary Democrat S.J. Howell, and House District 100 will be represented by Democrat Zoe Zephyr, a transgender woman. Both districts roughly cover the core of Missoula. In a previous interview with MTN, both Howell and Zephyr said when LGBTQ+ issues do arise, they hope their presence will center the conversation on the people who are affected by the legislation.
One result Montana voters are still waiting on, the outcome of LR 131, a ballot measure challenging access to abortion. And that measure is failing by a margin of about 20,000 votes as of late Wednesday afternoon. From the get-go, LR 131 was one of the most closely watched races in all of Montana, and not just here, but all across the country, serving as a test case for anti-abortion legislation in the wake of the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
This is if you're a medical provider and you're intentionally letting a baby die, then there needs to be a penalty for that.
Representative Matt Regier, a Republican from Kalispell, helped carry the referendum through the 2021 legislative session. It would require that healthcare providers take all necessary actions to preserve the life of an infant born with muscular movement, heartbeats, and vital signs, including after an abortion. But more than 700 Montana healthcare providers spoke out against the measure, saying it went too far.
For providers, this law would have gone into effect starting in January, and it would have created enormous fear and uncertainty with doctors and nurses across the state, and people worried that delivering best practice medical care and trying to do their jobs could land them in prison.
And it appears voters agree. While the split is close, it appears most Montanans are voting down the measure, with 52% of residents currently voting no on LR 131. Billings Dr. Nathan Allen, among the many healthcare providers, ecstatic to see it fail.
If this result holds, I'm really happy that people took the time to understand this and vote in a manner that I think is most supportive of excellent medical care in Montana and allows parents to make the right choices for their children.
And Montana isn't alone. 5 other states had abortion-related rights on the ballot, and so far voters in all 5 states came out in favor of abortion rights. Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
Recreational marijuana experienced mixed results on election night. Maryland and Missouri voters approved measures to legalize recreational cannabis. North Dakota, South Dakota, and Arkansas voted against it. Maryland voters approved their measure with 61% of the vote. Missouri voters passed their legislation with 53% of the vote.
Over that hump into Thursday now, getting closer and closer to the weekend. That area of low pressure that's been dumping a lot of snow finally moving over to our east, and it is taking that moisture with it. Still a good chance we could see some heavy snow eastern side of the state, and then by tonight the snow completely moving out. Temperatures today going to stay on the cold side, even though we may be warming up over the next few days. Outlook show the next 14 days. Highs and lows staying below average. We're looking at that highs today mainly in the teens and 20s. And there's that area of low pressure pushing off to the east, taking the moisture with it. High pressure coming in from the west. What does that mean for us weather-wise? I'll let you know coming up.
Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel will stay closed for the winter season through March of next year. Yellowstone National Park officials say damage to the park's wastewater system from historic flooding in June led to its immediate closure. Park leaders say the hotel will not be providing food service and will be closed to overnight guests because a temporary sewage system cannot handle the load created by those businesses. The hotel's gift shop, coffee and beverage service, lobby and ski shop will remain open, and regularly scheduled tours and snow coach service between Mammoth Hot Springs, Old Faithful and other iconic locations will be available.